playing, if you're tuning to someone else's violin, whereas if you're tuning to a piano, it's easier for your ear to pick out the different pitches because they have very different sound. Timbre, it's the official name for that.
I find it quite tricky on this one. I don't know if it's how the relationship with speakers to the wall to me. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I think it's also, you know, it's a skill like it's all skill, isn't it? So the more you practice it, the easier you will find it. But some people will find it easier to do. I play, you play on the piano, just like on the violins.
I don't have piano, rarely use one. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So what do we tell our students, Devon, to do if they don't have a piano at home, or they don't practice in the same room as the piano, or they can't find the A on the piano, whatever?
Look up a video or download an app or something?
Yeah, if they literally just want to tune, what would you recommend?
A tuning app?
Exactly, yeah. So get a tuning app that has the dial that shows you whether you're high or low. And exactly, very good point. The piano may be there in the same room and horribly out of tune. If you regularly have a student come to your lesson with an out of tune violin that's in tune to itself, that's a key giveaway. So just chat to them about that. Because obviously the more they're hearing the actual correct pitches, it's not our oral training is not just about training you to hear whether it's in tune with itself, but it's also getting used to that like specific resonance, 440 for A, etc. Good, and then I would recommend that you don't encourage your students to use the tuning app to do the rest of the strings. There are two reasons why. Can anyone think of one?
Still trying to learn the skill of tuning the
Exactly, because you want them to be able to tune a perfect fifth, not just follow the instruction from an app. Good. Anything else?
What age was that always? Or
so the parents are tuning until I would say I start doing tuning themselves in book 4. But with the parent it's a slightly different proposition, isn't it? Whether how much they want to learn or whether they just want to get it done so that they can, you know, get on with practice, which is also completely understandable. So talking about, you know, book 4, book 5 students, can anyone think of another reason why you wouldn't want them to use a tuning app as well as being able to have the skill of actually tuning? It's a very nerdy, music-specific thing.
Could it that doesn't work if you're playing 2 strings at once?
Yeah, so they wouldn't get the practice of playing both the strings. You would have to tune, like, you know, tune it and then.
My tuner, if I play 2 notes together, it will tune to the bottom one.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
you said something about the piano and
Yeah.
not being perfectly.
Yes.
But I can't
Tempered.
remember.
Very good, very good. Now this is going to tax my brain because I wasn't planning to do this today, so I haven't looked it up. The equal temperament is taking the 12 semitones within an octave and dividing them exactly in 12ths. The problem with that is if you tune a perfect fifth and you add those perfect fifths together over octaves and octaves and octaves, what we consider to be in tune of a perfect fifth is not however many 12ths of each octave that is. So if you tune an orchestra to a perfect fifth right from the bass, lowest string on the double bass is a bottom E, right up to our E's, those E's will then be out of tune, even if every perfect fifth in between is correct. Because science. That's as much as I know about that.
Yeah.
Because, physics. And so what we do when we tune in an orchestra is squash the fifths very slightly, which is why you will often hear an E that you may consider to be slightly low compared with an E on the piano, and the G we often kind of bring up very slightly. Then it becomes like expressive tuning is all like, this is a whole world that you can dive into that I know very little about. But basically if you tune exactly like a piano, that's how we have to tune if we're in an orchestra, right? Because you've got octaves and octaves and octaves of different range. But if you tune to play unaccompanied Bach, for example, you might tune perfect fifths because there are only, 2.5 octaves on your violin. So it won't sound out of tune.
It's interesting because I was taught to tune the A, the D, the G fifths apart, and then the E, and then check with the G, and if I need to, turn the E up. rather than bringing the G up. But
But how would you check the E against the G?
just play them, and if it still sounds out, then
I think that might be just in terms of checking whether. Do you mean when you were like a teenager?
yeah, I've heard it a few times over the years.
I think I would say that that's more of a sort of basic check that you've done the tuning right check than a very specific, the difference between 1 nanohertz or whatever they're called. I don't know. But I think for many of us, if we're tuning in an orchestra, you kind of like if you think about the options for intonation, of course there is not one spot that is in tune and everything else is out of tune, right? There is a slight variation available. So if you think that on a piano they're trying to tune it like that every note is exactly in the middle. No, sorry, not on piano. That if you're playing unaccompanied, you might want to tune it like that. Whereas if you're playing in an orchestra and therefore like a piano, that it might be more like that. But it's not out of tune. It's just playing to the lower end of in tune and the upper end of in tune. Because if you take the E away from the G, then you're making it further different. You're extending the difference between the G and the E string. So that wouldn't work with this particular problem.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool, right. And then in terms of talking to the students about what they're listening for, could I borrow someone's violin with a fine tune list, please? Thank you. That once you've got your A correct, why do we go down first? Why do we do A and D next?
It's easy to hear.
Nope.
Because you can sing down.
Huh?
Because you can sing down.
Nope.
This is another string afterwards.
Nearly. Do you know the answer?
I was going to say the same thing, like there's
Okay.
two on that side, one on the other side.
Okay, because the G string's the thickest, therefore most likely to move the bridge slightly, which is going to disrupt the other strings. So you leave the E till last because it will make the least difference to the bridge. And you can't do A and G first, obviously, because they're not next door. So you work your way towards the biggest one. Okay, so if we're listening for like the pulsing sound, for example, we've gone so far it now just sounds like a lovely semitone out. So you can find that you can hit wah, 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 yeah? Can everyone hear that?
Wait,
Not really. I can see it as really out.
Yes, but I can also hear the plant outside.
Oh, it's the plant. I was like, which plant
The
can you be
machine.
growing? Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know what you mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So what happens to that pulsing sound as it gets closer to being in tune?
Slows down.
It slows down, well done. Can you hear that it's got slower?
Now
It's still quite fast.
Can you give me the pulse that you hear?
And now you hear the pulse slowing down.
And then it goes away. No?
Give me the pulse that you're hearing.
Yep.
So when at first, the further apart it is, the more it just sounds a bit grating. To me, it doesn't sound like a pulse until it gets a bit
Yeah.
closer. And
So
then
it's like a sort of it's really fizzy. Can you hear that?
try and listen between the sounds. It's almost
So
like you're going.
that's sort of like it's almost like your peripheral vision, but sound.
Yeah.
And now it's like
What might help is if you stand in the corner and you get a bit closer, because then maybe you can hear
Yeah.
it bounce off the wall.
I suspect also because you like to tune your strings very separately and then just check them together. It's probably not something that you've spent very much time listening for,
Yeah. maybe.
just to practice.
I've also had hearing damage, so it could be that like I'm not hearing that level.
I don't think it's overtones. I think it's literally like when I do this with the students, and go on for ages, and then suddenly like, oh my god, it's like those those magic pictures that you stare at, and then like suddenly the whales appear or whatever it is. I think it's a bit like that. So the key things to just remind ourselves of are that you need to tune A to something else, because obviously unless you've got a perfect pitch you don't know what 440 sounds like, and then you tune A and D, and you're listening for the pulsing sound, and it will get slower as you get better. And for the students, you want them to sing the A and play the A, sing down in their heads, do 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 do, then play the D if they don't know which way to go. Do we want longer on this another day? Because this was just sort of chucked in review. Do you want me to plan for more of
quite
this?
comprehensive.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, especially if they're using the pegs, the G string can disrupt the bridge.
Oh wow.
So just be careful about that.
Checking the peg box as well if their strings are crossed at all,
Yeah.
because that can be a tug situation.
Yeah. And then the E string is last. And if they don't have a fine tuner on the E string, do get them to put one on, because it's not helpful doing the E with the peg. All right, so let's play. I think we have a whole session on our exam pieces coming up soon, so I would like to just play all the way through book 1.
I might sit at some point.
Yeah, sure.
I'll keep playing, but
Do you want one of the teaching chairs or one of those stools?
stores is fine.
Okay, you might need a couple on top of each other.
Sorry?
You might need a couple on top of each other. That's 44, it's not too.
Right, it's 5'4", it's fine. Just checking it, sorry.
Okay, tonalisation to start with. So just check you've got your knees soft and your feet balanced. You can sit, love.
And then we'll play for a little bit then.
Okay. You've got the bow hold you're most proud of. Relaxed right arm. Comfortable violin position. Lovely balanced head. Big smile. Through the twinkles and then do some stretching and warming up and things after that. Vertical movement than it is when we would play just for ourselves. remaining broad across them, even when the violin's there and we're coming forward with the right arm. Starting. Elbow, exactly. And which way does it go, kid?
Right.
Yes, exactly. Down first. So that's the thing that for the kids and their parents is really weird because they think, yeah, but it's going along, right? They're thinking, well, you're just moving sideways. And so that scoopiness is something that you really have to go on and on and on about because they can just sort of lose track of it and then you end up with this, which is, you know, can make a nice sound, but only if they've got a nice violin. And sometimes they have a nice violin and it doesn't make a nice sound. So
and that's a lot of work for those muscles, these ones.
yes, absolutely.
Sharing a load if you can with the elbow.
Yeah. Well, and also when you're relaxing the weight of the arm, it's a release. So you're using the natural weight of your arm to make the sound rather than using the muscles in your arm to make the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so let's have a little bit more shaking movement. Our cleaner got stuck in Wembley last night, so it hasn't been cleaned, sorry.
Oh, bless her.
I couldn't quite bear to do the hoovering when I arrived this morning. Just like, no, we'll just have some crumbs on the floor. Have you hurt yourself, or is it just niggly?
Series of hurts that I have not addressed over time.
Oh dear. Right, Devin, what is the next piece?
Song of the Wind?
No, not quite.
Lightly row.
Lightly row. Then,
So happy.
then,
No.
oh my god! Joe, then.
What? Sorry, what's...
Right, lightly row. Go
Song of the
tell
Wind.
him. Lightly row, Song of the Wind. Go tell him really, that's what you are. Oh, come little children.
May. Song.
Thank you.
Long ago.
Well done.
Good.
Good.
Allegro.
Well done.
Restoration?
Good.
Allegretto.
Good.
Andantino.
Good.
Etude.
Good.
You get one?
Yeah.
Yeah, two.
Minute 2.
Happy farmer.
Very good. Well done. Lightly row. If you're going to do the introduction for your group, what do you have to remember?
So what row?
Private lesson? Exactly. I'm going to recommend that you take the traditional fourth finger approach, which is a round pectoral motion, and put them in review. If you are asking your beginners who've just learned their twinkles to then use 4, it's really hard for them. It's dispiriting. It sounds rubbish. It's not. And you know, one of the delights of Lightly Row is all of this lovely ringing violin sound. So I would definitely not use the 4 unless you're doing it as a exercise. Where do we first play proper legato?
So long ago, but
Yes, exactly. So Go Talent Roadie and Lightly Row are kind of options. It depends. You know, the students who've just done Twinkle theme are not going to play Lightly Row suddenly legato, but some of them might smooth it out naturally a little bit. That's fine. Basically, those long bow pieces, Twinkle theme, Lightly Row, Go Talent Roadie, are kind of, it's up to you how you take them in terms of whether you have a slight detachment of each bow or whether you are working on legato, and whether it's in review or whether it's the first time they've learnt it, all of those things. But definitely buy long ago if you've still got. That's where you want to actually address that and make sure that it's going proper legato.
If they are doing legato anyway, do you want to slow them down?
No, I think if they're playing legato already, that's great. There's no benefit. I mean, you don't want them to play the first time they learn Twinkle, because that's the first time they've learned to use that much bow. So you want them to be controlled and to practice starting the up bows from stillness. But certainly, you know, somewhere between Lightly Row and Go Talent Roadie, if they're already legato, it's fine. Okay, could you give us the introduction to the next piece, please?
so we played Lightly Row, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Keeping the bow on the string at the end of this, because the whole piece is about the retakes, whereas with Go Talent Roadie we will keep the bow on at the end. Kate, can you give us the introduction, please? Which is called, Devin?
Long ago?
Nope.
Oh.
Everyone's favourite.
Christmas song.
German Christmas song.
Japanese.
It's not Japanese. They're all German, the folk songs in the violin repertoire.
Well, Nan said it was a Christmas song in Japan.
Might be also. Might be also.
Could- yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Oh, Come Little Children.
Welcome to the Children.
Do you remember how it goes?
No.
It starts.
Are you okay?
Have you got the piece in your mind now?
Yeah, I've
Yeah?
got the piece in my
Would you
mind.
like me to do the introduction?
Yeah.
Okay. point of long, long ago, apart from legato, which we've talked about already? D string, very good. And? Yeah, I mean, I just never found that to be a problem. I don't think I would have noticed if it hadn't been for all the teacher trainers who's like, this is the first time they leave the E and land on the A.
Long bows?
Yes, long what type of bows?
The gato.
Yeah, slow. Yeah.
Slow, yeah.
Because they've used a lot of the whole bow by now, but not for a whole minim.
Yeah.
Well, apart from those two just then. Not legato for a whole minim.
Go 10 out mode.
It's a crutch.
But it hasn't been legato yet.
So that is, but I think you would probably be fine to have a kind of gap there, whereas slower, and you don't want. Okay. So slow your bow, slow straight away. Slow straight away, yes. Lovely. What?
I always say that because my best friends. William's there. William's.
Very nice, well done. Joe, just be careful with your first slow up bow. Slow from here, what you're doing is, which if your kids follow you, then they'll just run out because they can't go fast and then slow. So it's not for you, it's
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. What's the next piece?
Perpetual motion.
No.
Oh, Aaron.
Main teaching point of Allegro. Devon, one of them, please.
Martelly bowing.
Very good. Kit, another one.
The legato part. The legato bow.
Yeah,
the
legato bow, yes, I'll accept that.
Fast circles from the tip at the end of each line. So you'll end up
Yes.
here. You have to do a
Yes.
retake and a circle.
Slow bow followed by a fast retake. Good, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Meant to
what
say.
they've had before. Yeah, good. One more thing.
Ripped.
Yes, I mean you're right. Yeah, I
Leading.
think. Huh?
Leading.
Leading and fast bows. Sorry, fast notes. They've not played anything that fast before. So there's a lot in Allegro, and it's good that they like it because there's a lot to do in it. Whereas Come Little Children has a lot to do in it, and nobody likes it. So it's very rarely well done. All right, Joe. we weren't
Yeah.
together. Good. Another problem with doing it from the tip?
You stopped before you did a circle, so it was also like you know when to follow the circle.
Yes.
If you do it,
But if we do it, can you lead it like that from there? Everybody play from the F sharp?
oh, because you don't have time.
Oh, sorry, you're leading. What
You don't
happens?
have time to land.
Yes, exactly. And therefore it just crashes.
Yeah.
And especially the students will crash. Very good. So you definitely want to do that. And then, you know, really I've done it loads of times myself. I use an introduction in Allegro all the time. But if they can lead this, why can't they do that at the beginning? Really, we should never play Allegro with an introduction, should we? So if you're going to lead afterwards, they can lead at the beginning, and that means that you can teach them to lead then, and then, you know, they can lead whenever they want. Yes. Good. Who's told us what piece is next? Yes. No, next piece. Did you have a question?
Just with the leading, they start playing when the violin's back in its normal position.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it. Yeah.
And you've got to do the breath in, same speed that you want to start.
Yes.
And
So
down.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, because sometimes they go
Yeah.
like this, it's like
Yeah.
that.
And also, I mean, for me, I think, you know, you hear a lot of this, and I think that's fine as an interim towards actually leading physically. I think to kind of teach, you know, a young, like they're still going to be young by this point, 5 to 7, maybe 8-year-old, to move like that and breathe and not make it audible. It's all just, it's a lot. Yeah. Kate, what's next?
Perpetual motion.
Very good. Off you go.
The intro.
As you come towards the end.
Slow.
Yeah.
Slow bow, yeah, or long bow. Or just remember, because they'll all go. Lots of them will. Very good, well done. So this is the first time that we play from the middle, like around the middle for those doubles. But the singles are still very scoopy. Exactly the same as what?
Faster than a caterpillar?
No, I would say fatter than a caterpillar is not scoops, is it? It's that sort of vertical when you first learn it. Which twinkle variation teaches us how to do staccato scoops? Thank you very much, yes. Yeah?
Why from the middle for perpetual, for the doubles?
Because by this point they can learn anything.
Okay.
So it's quite squashed here,
Yeah.
and they've got to learn sometime to use a bit more upper Sorry, a bit more lower on.
Yeah, can you use this part of the arm from the balance point?
Not opening and closing, otherwise that happens.
I
So
think-
if you're between the balance point and the middle, all of that first bit of book one is about keeping this pretty stable and using the upper arm to get the scoopiness, that kind of vertical thing that we keep talking about, like that, and then exactly that is the same, and then now you get to use the open arm, but it's, you know, that's very specific, and then go tonic rodi is a different type of bow stroke, and all the rest of them. So this is the first time that you've got repeated on the string notes, détaché, semiquaver. Because partly, if they start to do this when they get, it gets quite difficult once you introduce the string crossing.
Okay.
Isn't it just easier as well in the middle?
Yeah. But I think the thing is, that's what we have to remember is, for us, it's much easier to play from the square of the arm. You know, we would play. You would never like choose as an adult to play like this because it feels really constricted. But with a very young child, they're using a tiny amount of bow, and you know, they've just got much more realization in their muscles anyway. So this is a much more controlled way for them to play, and therefore will sound better than this, which is suddenly everything's going all over the place. It becomes uncontrolled and sounds nasty.
Still looks a bit of elbow there. Still, I talk about the bounce coming from the elbow.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I mean. It's that vertical thing of like almost
Yeah,
down,
but
up,
still,
down,
like,
up
in the
there.
elbows.
Yeah.
Feeling the bounce in the elbows.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they work at it too hard. It's
Yes.
like, no, don't make, you'd be knackered by the
Yeah,
end.
you don't want them to be doing that, but exactly. And that's when you go back to which twinkle variation to learn this new bow stroke.
That would be Caro.
Exactly, yeah, but starting in a different place in the bow.
Yeah.
Exactly, well done. Good, okay, so next piece, whose turn is it? Your turn.
My turn. Allegretto.
Very good.
I don't know the intro.
Okay, can you play through the piece until you get to the last bit? Because that's always the introduction.
I don't know where.
Sometimes with a little extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that was a bit. Played with too many chairs.
Well done. Keep those on your crutches. Boys. That's it.
No.
Yeah, go on, give us a kid-friendly lead. Yes. Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
So you just have to be big and in time.
Mhm.
Could you play what A and D together? So, see, what I don't understand about how you listen to your strings is when you hear that it's out of tune, why do you take the A out? Because that tells you when it's in tune.
That's better.
Mm.
I think it
Yeah.
was sometimes when I'm rushing.
Yeah, yeah. I think also it's just habit, isn't it? How we all do things just becomes what we do, and then. But yeah, I would think about tuning more of them in pairs rather than separately and then put them together, because it's like a shortcut to do it together.
Mm.
It'll save you time.
Yeah.
Okay, next piece is
And then Timo.
very good. That was why I was going like
Oh,
that.
so
Sorry, I wasn't clear. Accents, exactly right. In Allegretto, Kit, what type of accents? I'm not looking for a technical word, I'm looking for just a description. Do you know where the accents are?
I do, but I don't.
Can you just play us a bit and say here, here, here? Yeah, exactly.
Every
So how would you describe that type of bow stroke? How do we make those accents happen, as opposed to if we played it without them? Exactly, yeah, it's just a faster bow, that's it. So, you know, on the up bows, you'll need a bit of pinch. Otherwise, you'll get just a skid. But, you know, that's exactly right. It's mostly bow speed. Whereas in Andantino, what happens? Dan's like, leave me alone!
It's like bow speed with more.
Where are the accents in Andantino? Can you play it a little bit and say here?
There?
No.
Oh,
Yes, exactly right.
so like it's an accent throughout the whole bow?
Well, the accent's at the beginning of the note, but you do need to use the whole bow.
Yeah.
So what happens with your bow speed?
It stays the same.
Does that give you an accent? Is that an accent or is it just a louder note?
I mean, the way I was playing it was kind of like the same speed, but then increasing the pressure the further you get along the bow.
Yeah, which gives us a crescendo.
Yeah.
So the accent is always at the beginning of the note. So what's really difficult about this, which is why I don't teach it until book 2 in review, that you've got a fast bow with a pinch and then a slow end. Otherwise you get that, which is exactly the same as, you know, allegro and all of those kind of bow strokes and allegretto. And the other thing is you've got these zigzag bow that need to get you towards the tip. So there's, again, this is a piece with a lot in it. It's quite easy for them to learn. It's got the first Kit. What happens the first time in this piece? Sorry, the second time. The first time in allegretto.
G string.
Thank you. So this, we've got, you need to get to there, otherwise you don't have the time to do a fast and then a slow. And fast and slow is a very sophisticated way to do your bowing, it's hard. Let's play that one more time. Alright, feeling better?
Sorry. If you do the top one, you end up with 2 accents anyway.
Exactly, yeah. So you can play. Yeah. Less, more, and then you worked your way up. Good. Whose turn is it?
Yours.
Okay.
It is technically.
Well, I wasn't counting myself in reviewing the teaching, but that's fine. Attitude is the first piece that is in G major. The first piece that is on all 4 strings, the first piece piece that has really difficult memory for most kids. I mean, what are the other difficult memory ones? Do you think? I think they find it difficult to remember which one is Allegretto and which one is Andantino, but not really to learn the piece. Yeah, perpetual motion, but this is much more complicated than that, isn't it? So you need to make sure that you've done your G major scale well in advance, and please try and train yourself, which, depending on how you were brought up learning, it might be more difficult. It's very difficult for me. I'm still trying to get my head around it. Play the scale of the piece before you start the piece. Especially when you get into finger patterns that are not just the same all the time. But you know, basically once they can play D major, A major and G major, we should be playing the scale before they play any piece of those keys, so that you're like connecting those finger patterns with the pieces, and it's really easy for us just to be like, okay, let's play Minuet 3, and not actually think about the last piece they played was in A major, so the fingers are going to be in really different places. Let's find the key, and the best way to really base yourself into that key is the scale. And if they know it, they the poggio. Yeah. Okay, so let's play a 2-octave G major scale and then arpeggio straight off, so there won't be a gap between them. Even I don't make them learn them, I just make them learn the scale and the arpeggio. There's plenty to learn without doing inversions and second inversions in book 1. Okay. So maybe when you're on perpetual motion. I don't want you to do it in here. Just going to have a look at my planned timings to see how completely off I am. What is something they need to know before you do this piece? Even if I've already mentioned it today.
Is it just like the quick string crossing?
Quick string crossing, good. Another thing?
Pinches?
Sorry?
Pinching your bow, like accents?
Yeah, I would say at this point you're still thinking more elbow scoop than pinching with the hands.
Yeah.
They've got to have a sort of, if you imagine, can I make a bow hold on your finger?
Sure.
If you imagine that this is like how they're playing, don't just hold your bow in the other hand, I'm worried about it. Like dun 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 dun. It's basically quite, it's not dun 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 that, but they've got to have a kind of quite tight bow hold for it to work. But you're not trying to like start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, because it's too fast.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Can you imagine what I just did?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just do it again. So dun 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 dun, rather than dun dun dun
Oh, yeah.
dun dun. Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Not dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Good. Another preview.
making sure that the thigh and elbows mobile.
Very good. That might not be in preview.
No.
That might be during the piece.
Yeah.
But you could also do like this
Yeah.
as preview. That would be good.
Yeah.
G major is obviously the big preview that we've already
Arpeggio.
talked about. And when you start, let's say once you're on Allegretto, maybe even Andantino, which bits of Etty do you think you want to do as preview boxes?
Ooh, my frog 1, 2 and 3.
Show us. Great.
Frog 1, frog 2 starts on second finger. Frog 3. Yeah?
Good. What's the frog thing? Just hopping fingers.
Yeah, but they're the 3 parts that take you to where you need to go next.
Yes. I would just add an extra note like you did on the beginning. So preview boxes we're talking about. Once you're there, you can easily do your scale down, especially if you've done lots of scales, which I hope you will have. Then they still have to go, where are they going next? Whereas if you then it's exactly the same, and then it's the beginning. So if you just extend them a tiny bit, and then the scales here, frog 1, or 2, whatever it is. So then you can put it in and they'll know a lot of the piece. And then when you start the piece, you're making sure that the 1 is adding the 3 and then they're coming off together. Yeah? If you all just hold your violins in your left hand, I'm afraid either you won't be able to do this or you'll need to stand up. What I do with my kids a lot, just hold your violins like securely in one hand so that you've got balance, is this is my first finger, 1, D, 3, now what's going to happen? Yes, thank you kids! Yeah, so you do this all the way along the classroom or around the room or whatever with the kids. 1, D, 3, A, 1, D, 3. I can't do it over and over again. So you're adding, so just really make sure that they've got that idea that then they come off together.
Right.
I don't make them land just on one foot because I think that would be a little bit too tricky.
Dangerous.
But yes, but that is what you would do if you were.
You got very
to do it.
confused.
Very accurate. This is your first finger. 1. This is your third finger. It's in the air. D. 3. Then they've got to come off together.
Okay.
Yeah? Everyone happy? Delightful.
I teach the words, the Harry Potter words.
Oh yeah.
before we-
Yeah, words I think can be very helpful for this.
Because they get lost.
Right.
If students are having trouble string crossing on the, is there anything you can do other than like slowing it down?
The string crossing's more difficult, well, different the second time because it's always after an up bow, so it's always nearer the heel. Whereas here, like that's the string crossing nearer the middle. This is the 1. There is nearer the heel, so the balance point. So you've got string crossings in different places, but there's space. Whereas, because there's a double on every note, you're always going to be string crossing at the same point. So that's partly what puts them off, is their bodies just sort of expect to do it in different places because of the singles. So if you just put a... that works much better.
Okay.
Same for...
But
Right.
when you do that, do you register at the end?
3, 4. The first piece by a kind of well-recognised composer, Johann Sebastian Bach. And those ups are elbow scoops each time, and lots of people call that the minuet bowing, and it comes in all the minuets. We're going to kind of get a groove on because I wanted to finish this by, well, I put on the thing 11:30, but that was madness. We don't need an hour and a quarter on lifted up bow strokes as well, so. Right, minuet 2, what's the big thing? Anyone?
Oh,
well done.
triplets.
Sorry?
Triplets.
First triplet, very good. Another new thing. A level 2 person. Do you have the piece in your mind?
I think so.
Could you play us the beginning of it?
I think that's probably wrong.
That's Gotta Say Goodbye.
Okay.
Minuet 2. That's minuet 3. Minuet 2, please. Thank you. Yes. So it's got the first triplet in it, which also happens to be the first slur. So you definitely want to do slurs in advance. And string crossing. Double string crossing there. There's loads of string crossing, as well as awkward bowing.
And the sharp.
Yes. Very good. Also, with the second triplet they've ever done, in the second slur they've ever done, on up. Yeah. It's a lot. And the first down bow slur.
Yeah, smooth. That's so tricky to get to do.
Yeah.
I've been doing.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Down bow, but upward feels like it should go down, up. Okay. Have you got a list of firsts happening now?
Like first teaching points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. That would be great if you could write it up and share it with all of us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Slur string crossings.
Very good. And up bow slurs.
Yeah.
That we've only had. And. So then suddenly. Even this one is different. Good.
There's two kinds, isn't there? And that's
One's
the thing,
with
isn't
the
it?
string crossing and one's without.
mean, in terms of where they fit within the melody. I'll find a better way of articulating that, sorry.
They're mostly on the second beat of the bar.
Yeah, and so, but there's a couple of places where they're on the first.
Yes, here. And yeah. So they've got a different feel if they're on the downbeat as opposed to the upbeat, but as opposed to the second beat, but most of these are down, slur, separate, down, slur, separate. That's sort of the minuet 3 pattern. I know we're rushing. I'm hoping we can finish Gossamer on the stroke of 12, then we can have a break, then we'll get everything done by lunchtime. Advanced kids not too bored by playing the book one piece, but the book ones can play with the big kids. It's very nice. And you've got your first, I would say, apart from etude, proper memory trap. And the reason it's particularly tricky there is that it still fits. Whereas if you go wrong in other minuets, you end up in the wrong piece, or you've missed out a load of it. But you can do that even in a group. You can have some kids make the mistake, other kids not make the mistake, and get to the end all together, which is kind of handy, I guess, but makes it difficult to spot. So you want to just watch out for that. All right. Would you lead us to Happy Farmer, please? What's the first thing that happens for the first time in Happy Farmer?
Does he crutches?
Good.
We've had them in
We've had them in O'Connell Children, and Mason, but specifically then. Yes, exactly. Yes, and Kit, something else that happens for the first time?
I don't know if it's this, but the strong kind of bowing.
Not quite. It is a bowing thing though. Devon, do you know?
First time below the balance point?
Yes, very good. So you start at the balance point and go towards all the way to the heel. Good. careful with these bowings. Otherwise, you end up with the whole bow there. And it's also, it's weird structure, isn't it? A, B, C, B, C, not A, B, A, C, D, C, or something similar, which is what we've had a lot of. Good, we're not really going to talk about gosset because it's an exam piece, so we're going to do it in the exam piece, even though none of you are doing number one, we're going to talk about it then. But we'll just play it, because then we'll be finished at 12 o'clock exactly. So as we're playing, you can think about all the wonderful things that are incorporated into this wonderful piece. Lifted strokes into 45 minutes.
Squeeze out lifted spirit.